Hey guys, I'm going to be showing my cheap toy collection. I don't know how long it's going to take. It could take about 3 videos. It might take more. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm going to start this little series of just going through my cheap toy collection. And so if you like vintage Garbage Pail Kids, stick around. If you like cheap toys, definitely stick around. Or just old 80s toys, yeah, please stick around. I'm finally back. I was so deathly ill last week. There was a couple days I don't even remember. I don't even remember the day. I took my wife out for her birthday supper. It was her birthday, and we got back in, and I just laid down. And next couple days, I don't even remember. I had such a high fever and chills, and I kind of assumed for a little while I was going to die. And then at the same time, I started having some symptoms from a health issue I have. And it was like the perfect storm of just misery. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good today. So I think I'll just go ahead and start tackling the cheap toy part of my collection. So if you want to stick around, that's what's coming, okay? So these are the two main things that I have with cheap toys. This is not all of it, but I have a bag of rares and a box of commons and customs. I also have another bin I'll show you that has all the boxes in it and all the packs. And then I have another bin that has more 80s toys that has other cheap toy customs mixed in there as well. And then if you remember, when I was going through the miscellaneous box, there was a lot of cheap toy items in there, mannequin shit in there. That's all mixed in. But anyway, I'm going to just try to tackle cheap toys for now, just the actual release, regular release of cheap toys. And I'm actually going to put this up, and let's start with the good shit. We're going to start with the rares. So if you've ever seen cheap toys out there, they were made in 1986. They really weren't on shelves till 87. I'm going to take this whole, let's just dump this bag out. You're looking at sort of like my life's work here, so there's no way I'm going to just run through this in one video. Just this one bag alone is its own video, I'm sure. But anyway, let's see. Let's do the U.S. stuff first. Yeah, so I started collecting cheap toys a really long time ago. But anyway, yeah, so when I first started, I thought maybe I would just collect one character. And so the first one I bought, the first major purchase I made was for a neon yellow Heather. And so for a while I was just collecting Heathers. I was going to do what's called a chain, which is all the different colors of Heather, or schizophrenic, or friend, whatever you want to call her. That I just discovered by collecting that way, you're going to be running into these other characters constantly. So over time, I just decided I'd just collect them all. Now, starting here with Neon Yellow, these are the most rare of the U.S. regular releases. An absolute fucking powerhouse of a toy. Look at any 80s toy, compare it to a cheap toy, and hopefully you'll start to understand why these are relevant, and why Alice Island. This is over $100 toy right here. Now my Alice is super bright, packed fresh. So yeah, that's really, it's more like a $150 toy right there. Megan, neon yellow, like 75. Atom Bomb, 150, if he's bright like this. Janie, 75. Petey, extremely rare, 100. Yeah. But anyway, I started with Heather. I don't know that I need to give you guys the prices on these, you know what I mean? But I did want to just show you them. What you got to understand is each toy has its own story. You can't just go on eBay and get the whole set. This isn't like fucking Chrome. You have to go one by one and pick these up. There's stories involved. Even this guy just got in a month ago. He's a replacement for another Brett. I paid $65 for him a month ago. She is very hard to find in neon yellow. This is Leaky Lindsay, $100. Thin Lin, a lot of people's favorite, and they're a lot of people's favorite color, $100. Chris, you do see a good many of them. This one's super bright, so it's around $90, and she's 75. So that's kind of what you're dealing with. I'm not gonna give you the prices on all these. I kind of think that's a big problem with our hobby. Everything's just a fucking ad now. You go on these sites, it's like no one's talking. There's no fucking engagement. It's all just a fucking market, you know. What saved Garbage Pail Kids in the social media era was turning it into a market. But what's killing Garbage Pail Kids in the social media era is it's just a market. No one sits down, no one's fucking enjoying these things. It's all just money, you know. So yeah, those are fucking amazing. What a great place to start when you're talking about cheap toys. This is the neon yellow set of 10 characters, and these are super bright, perfect examples. These get UV damage, meaning if you put them in the sunlight for 2 months, they're not going to be as bright when you take them out of the window or if they're exposed to light. So these are pretty much pack fresh. So yeah, and after 36 years, that's pretty amazing that they stayed like that. Now, my personal favorite color, pound for pound, is neon yellow. I mean neon red. A while back, in the beginning, these used to be called red orange, neon red orange, but it was just changed to neon red. I'm looking at them through the camera here. There you go. I was about to say they don't look very good, but if I cover the light, they just glow. It's one of the most beautiful colors I've ever seen, compared to neon yellow. These look like a highlighter. Well, these do too, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, I can see it. I'm seeing what you're seeing, I think, pretty much. And I'm a little disappointed in how the resolution is looking. These are much more prettier and brighter in person. These two can get UV damage, meaning if I put these in a fucking window for a couple months, they're probably not going to look like this when I pull them out. Now with neon reds, oh, here's another thing you need to know. They're not all equal. Okay? What I mean is some toys are rarer than others, and it's random. So, for example, one that I remember being a little more hard to find is Leaky Lindsay. You know, even still, in this color, she's like $75. There's Chris, of course. There's my girl. I think my favorite cheap toy sculpt would be Thin Lin. I mean, I love Alice, but I think if I had to pick Thin Lin just a little bit more. Janie, Heather, Petey, Megan, and yeah, so there's the whole set there. Super beautiful, beautiful. Just finishing the neon red set is a big accomplishment. I've known collectors to stop right there when they finish this. They stop collecting. That was like their big goal, was to finish red. When I finished yellow, I was only the third person to ever do it. That's how rare it was to have a neon yellow set at that time. Now I've seen multiple people do it. I think there's probably 7 or 8 people that's been able to get those 10. So if you want a challenge, cheap toys are a great challenge to collect. Yeah. Let's go for another US. Okay, these are the neon greens. So Topps back in the day, this was sort of like their first parallel. Sort of like how now they have different border cards and shit. Topps was smart enough when they made cheap toys to make them in rare colors and just put them in random packs. Sort of like they do cards now. Looks like there's 9 here. The reason is I have a pack that has a sealed neon, the missing ones in a pack over here. These are very hard to find. One reason they're hard to find, people don't know they have them. There's people that have these in their collection now. They don't even know they're rare. They think they're just green. They don't know. How you know is you bend them. These are made out of rubber. And some of the other cheap toys are made out of plastic. It's a completely different material. So if you can bend it, like in this bouncy feeling, it's one of the Topps made them. That's one of the rare ones Topps made them as. Yeah, as far as neon green, I mean, almost all of them are rare, really. I don't have these labeled, unfortunately. But yeah, let me see. Well, maybe that's it. Let me see if this is the missing one. It looks like I need Megan. I'm missing Megan, yeah. And there she is. All right, so this is a sealed neon green Megan. Yeah, that's her. What did I pay for that pack? I think I paid $250 for this pack back in the day. You can get them a little cheaper now. But yeah, these are all over the place because, again, people, I mean, you can find them if you're smart enough, and you don't even have to pay that much for them. But once someone identifies them, they usually go for like $65 to $100 sometimes. Alice is always kind of the show stealer. She's always getting the higher prices. I mean, the typical neon Alice is going to run you $100. Now, when you get to, neon yellow Alice, which is one of the most iconic cheap toys, she should always be $150. I would pay $150 right now for a bright one. Easy. Yeah. I wish I could build an army of just yellow Alices, actually. So yeah, super beautiful. Now, these are semi-trans. I mean, if you put them up to the light, you can see through some of them just slightly. There's also a fishy smell to them. A lot of people don't know, I mean, they just don't know, that rubber cheap toys smell different than the plastic ones. You can do the smell test. They smell fishy. This is another thing you discover when you collect muscle toys from Mattel. Some of the rare ones have a different odor to them because they're a different material. So let me put those guys over there. By the way, what a beautiful stack here. I had this random pile of garbage candy here. I'm selling some shit, But yeah, very cool. Here's one, obviously. Orange is another one of the U.S. rares. So what I'm saying is Topps did not make as many oranges as they did peach or red or blue or green. So they made these in smaller quantities to make them more rare. finishing a orange set is extremely hard to do. It's very rare. I mean, unless you catch someone quitting and you can buy their toys from them. But if you don't come across someone selling their toys, it's hard to piece this together. When I was finishing my set, I could not find a Chris to save my life. Now he's one of the most common ones, but for some reason I could not find a Chris. Lindsay was another hard one to find in orange. Petey, I remember, was pretty hard too. But yeah, these are, again, some of those rubbery, rare, cheap toys. Alice is always going to be $100 bill, $125 in any of these rubber materials. She just looks cool. Atom Bomb is always going to be 100-ish, if not more. Sometimes a little less, around $100 because it's Atom Bomb. Lynn stands out. She's big. She's on like a little stand. She commands a lot as well. A lot of people like Lindsay. A lot of people collect Chris. And I've noticed there's a lot of Petey collectors because it's like New Wave Dave, you know. But then it leaves you with these guys who aren't quite as popular. Historically, these have not been very popular. Out of all the cheap toys, Janie's been the least popular of them all. And if I had to pick the most, it would be Alice. So that's kind of the extreme here when you're talking about Series 1 cheap toys. Salmon. Salmon is a U.S. rare. Oh, by the way, I do have a sealed. I have these sealed in packs as well. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, this is a sealed orange Chris. It's basically this guy sealed in the pack. So let's see, I'll put this over there. Okay, so these are the salmon. This is another color, sort of like neon green, that people will have and they won't even know it. It's just like a darker version or pinker version of peach. One of the rarest cheap toys is in this set. It's the Petey. When I was coming along, there was only one of these known. Then I found the second one and the third one. But since then, there's actually been a pack found. There's actually a sealed pack with a Salmon Petey in there and some other loose ones. So he's not quite as rare, but there's around 7 known of this one toy. He's going to cost you about $100. Yeah, again, Alice always commands about $100 for a rare one. The rest of these guys are in the 50 to 75. They just don't pop quite as much as some of the neon ones, you know. But still very cool. There's also a kind of a waxy surface to these that you don't see in some of the other colors. So that there's different ways to identify the rare ones. The major thing is they just bend. These are rubber. These are all rubber toys. They're not plastic. But there's also kind of a waxy surface to them, and they look a little oily as well. And they look smoother. They smell fishy, or they smell kind of like a Swedish smell. It's really faint. You have to have a good nose for it. And but you know, a lot of times collectors know what they are, and you'll know them by the price. You'll go, oh shit, why does he want $75 for a salmon Brett Sweat. Well, it must be one of the rare ones, probably is. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Now, I've got the Midnight Blues. That's got to be them, right? You're looking at some of the rarest toys available, the Midnights. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the Electric Blues. Now, Electric Blue was named by Soupy. Soupy is Dustin Hutchison, who's a friend of mine. He came around a couple years before I did, and he named these Electric Blue. Now, I know in my Exodus essay I said I really think we should call these Neon Blues, just to make it, continuous with these. It's like Neon Red, Neon Yellow. So I think these should be called Neon Blue, honestly. But Electric Blue is kind of fun, to call them that. Yeah, when these are not in the bright light. Let's see, because my window's open. Let's see. See that? Yeah, stunning. I remember the first time I opened one of the Neon Yellows out of a box, and it was Heather, I believe. It might have been Janie, though. You know what? I think it was Janie. But anyway, when I pulled it out, it was just... I just knew I was going to collect them, But these are the Neon Blues, Electric Blues. They're made out of rubber. They're oily. They smell sweet, kind of a fishy smell to them as well. Out of the rares, they're the most oily looking. They're also very dark. In the light, though, they're very blue looking, but I'm just saying, like, they're darker than they appear. These will surprise you in price sometimes, I've noticed. A lot of people are looking for these. They're also pretty hard to spot in photographs. It's hard for collectors to even find them unless you know what you're looking for. I've never not spotted one because they're obviously oily looking. I don't know why you wouldn't know what they were. They look like they're covered in oil. Now there is a half EB. There's Electric Blue that has some plastic mixed in with it. Look at this. Whew. Yeah, Thin Lin Electric Blue, a stunning toy just by itself. It's gonna set you back at least $80. Electric Blue Alice, it's $100. But they all range like, you can find them for like $40 sometimes, but usually they're in like the 60, 75 range. Hard as fuck to complete this set. Just a bitch. It's just a bitch. Just contacting collectors and just like going, can I get another photo of that? Can I see that in a different light? Just that whole process is like a whole summer, just like figuring out that. So let's put them over there. Are we down to magentas? Let's see. Yeah, so as far as U.S. rares. Okay. All right, so here's the magentas. Now, I named magenta in 2012. This is what I'm most known for, is magentas. When these were discovered by Ben Bruns on June 12th, 2012, it was actually around 9 o'clock. He called me. I was on vacation. Obviously, I remember that night very well. I know the date. That's part of having autism. I don't remember. I don't forget like fucking dates and times, and it's crazy. But when he told me what he had found over the phone, I didn't see a picture. I told Ben, you just found the magentas I've been looking for. These were on a sell sheet that Topps put out. But no one had ever been able to find them. We found these and we found those, but no one's ever actually found the magentas until Ben Bruns found that box from Pennsylvania. And he was screaming at me over the phone saying, I just found a color I've never seen before. And I was like, is it purple? And he said, yeah. I said, that's not purple. Those are the magentas. And I was able to buy the first magenta from Ben. There's a video on YouTube of me opening this and then naming them magentas. Because I did have to confirm it was the magenta we were looking for. Then I secured a deal with Ben to buy all 5. So I'll show you those real quick. It's one of the most historic Garbage Pail Kids scores of all time. It's the magenta cheap toy score that I made. What I got was, now, oh, well, first of all, what I gave up was 2 Series 1 Novos, but what I got was Mug and Megan sealed pack magenta. This is a 1 of 1. I got the Holy Grail, which is Leaky Lindsay magenta 1 of 1 sealed pack. What I mean is this is the only one ever found. It doesn't matter that it's sealed. It's just the only one we know of. This looks like a magenta. Let's see what this one is. Also from Ben, that day I got Double Heather. 1 of 1. Only one known. Magenta. Yeah, man. Trading those 2 Novo 1s, I thought I was going to die. But I don't regret it at all. And here's the other one I got that day. Brett Sweat, 1 of 1 magenta. To put these in perspective, you know those sapphire cards, those pink ones or whatever, the patty whack, what do you call them? Pad shack. Who fucking cares, right? You know what I'm saying? You know those pink fucking 1 of 1s? That's what these are, but way fucking more rare. I got this one from Jason Jarrett, who opened the other magenta box. I got this one from a lady in New York who had this as a child. I got this one last year. And this was a Ben Bruns one. So, yeah, this is the famous 5 magenta deal I did. All right, where are we? Okay, let's look at Midnights. Now, if there's any cheap toy collectors watching, I know you're creaming your pants. These are like the secret rare. I remember the first time I got these from Soupy. It looked like they look black to me. I don't know, it was weird. But they're in bright light. They're bright, daylight right now. But yeah, they're super dark. Here's the other. This is a electric blue, Chris, which is the darkest cheap toy, until you see the true darkest cheap toy, which is the Midnight. See that? Yeah, it even has sort of a grayish black undertone. It's not stained. It's completely solid. And there's the Petey, Midnight Blue Petey. Lindsay. Janie. Yeah, I traded for this one in Orlando. Jim what's his name? Yeah, Jim came down to Orlando where we were having like a get together for Garbage Pail Kids, and yeah, I was sitting there at a restaurant. We were drinking beer, and I knew I had my moment, and I was like, I just pulled out some money, some cash, and offered Jim the cash, and he had this on him, so it was pretty cool that we got that deal done. Yeah, but that's I found 6 of them. There's no other known examples of midnight. These are all 6. They're all one of ones. Which leaves us with some things I forgot about, like these. Like I was saying, this is neon red sealed pack with bread in it. Basically, it's this guy sealed. And when I can, I try to buy the loose one to match the packs for displays. But let's see what this is. Oh, that's the neon green Megan. This has an S on it. This must be the Salmon Chris. It is. Salmon Chris sealed pack. Extremely fucking rare. Who has a sealed salmon? First of all, you probably don't even know you have it. That's a big part of cheap toys, like just knowing what you have. Oh, this is an error pack. A lot of people don't know I have this, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. Inside is a cheap toy that has an error on it. It's an Alice that has one of those rounded, knobby spikes. I don't think this is going to translate well to live stream. It's not worth our time. But anyway, it's there. Maybe I can get a better picture of it. But anyway, one of the spikes is like the knobby one. Are we done with US? Let's see, what is that? That's Chris. Yeah, so that's as far as the US ones, those are the rarest ones. So yeah, let's take a look at UK. If you're trying to complete the master set, the set that's going to hold you back is probably going to be this one. It's Cinnamon. Every toy you're looking at has a story. I can tell you who I bought it from, the year, unfortunately, all kinds of stupid trivia. Now, I do not have a sealed pack of any of the Garbage Gang. There's only one known. It's owned by Gavin. He has a, I believe it's a aqua pack. I do have a picture of it, but yeah. So, but yeah, these range anywhere from $150 to $500. I paid $500 for just this one. She usually goes for $350. I paid, I think, $25. I got some good deals in here. Yeah, just owning a Cinnamon Alice is like a centerpiece to your collection. What if you owned a Cinnamon Atom Bomb? What's he worth? There's 4 of these known, you know that. 4 known. 4 known in the whole world. 4 of these. Yes, if you're talking rare items, some old items that only a few people care about. You're looking at some of the most holy grails there are. These were only made in United Kingdom. Round about, well, we don't really know. I mean, like late 80s. Yeah, these float. So if you'll ask somebody to throw them in some water, these float. These don't float. These sink. They're actually heavy as well. Let's look at their counterparts. Now these are also UK. Extremely beautiful. These are the aquas. This happens to be just my favorite color, just personally in my life. Like, I just love aqua. So I love these. These float. All these float. So if you wanna find some rare British ones, you have to ask them, does it float? Now we don't know why, but these are much harder to find than those. No one really knows why. There's just, the red ones are just a step harder to find, but still, these are just absolutely stunning. This one will put you back around 150, which is a fucking crime. I mean, how many of these have I seen? 6? 7? Think how rare that is. But yeah, your Alice's, your Adams, your Lindsays, your Lyns are always going to command higher prices. Your Petey's, your Chris's as well. And then it starts kind of dropping off like this. I would actually say this is the order of it. Let's see. This is like the popularity order. Maybe. Yeah. And again, we're only looking at Series 1 cheap toys here. We've just gone through the US rares. Now, I haven't shown you the US commons yet, and you haven't seen my rare variants I've found. So don't think just because we're starting at the rares that this is only the good stuff. No, 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 no. All right, so as far as British cheap toys, they also made them in peach. Again, these float. They're made out of plastic, very hard, somewhat brittle. It feels kind of brittle, like they could maybe chip, maybe a little bit. Now, I was not the first collector to complete this set. I'm actually proud to say that my friend Ribeiro was the first. He finished in 2013. And then he disappeared. And I'm looking for him now. Also, he did not sell his 40 set. Now, since then, there's been 2 other people to complete it. So now there's 4 people that have the 40 set. That's in history, too. But yeah, I was number 2. I was right behind Ribeiro. I was always waiting for this fucker. Yeah, but these are the blues. These can be pretty rangy too. They're kind of hard to identify. They look like regular blues, but they float. So if you buy them from a UK dealer, there's a good chance that you're going to get the right ones, but not always. You'll just have to ask a UK collector to put them in some water and see if they float, and if they float, they're the right ones. Yeah, but you're looking at the 40 set. Accomplishing this is just by itself is, well, this is Robeiro's, his whole collection. This is his legacy, his whole, and he was in the game like 15 years himself, and so this is a big fucking deal just by itself. All right, let's put these up. I'm not worried about mixing these up. They're actually very easy to differentiate. Now, if I was doing this with commons, you know, that would be a fucking problem. I'm going to save the Novos for later. Let's get through the series ones. Let's figure out what that is. Okay. 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 So what is this? All right, this pack has no toy in it. So this was issued without a toy. So that's very rare. I've only seen one other one. This came out of the magenta box, one of the magenta boxes. So that's a clue. You're looking at an extremely rare item. This is a Canadian Aqua sealed pack. Now the Canadian Aquas come in these super clear baggies. You can see right through them, and there is Double Heather. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is a electric blue sealed Alice bomb. I mean, Alice Island. All right, so last thing we'll look at are the Canadian Aquas. So cheap toys were made in 3 places. U.S. They did start in the U.S. That's confirmed, but then they also made them for Europe, right? Like the cinnamons and the aquas. And then they started making them later in Canada, and these are the Canadian Aquas. Now these sink, these do not float, so don't get them confused with their with the UK ones. They're also milky looking. They look like they've been mixed with milk. They're a softer green. They look oily. So yeah, here's my little set here. And don't forget, Heather, who's missing from this, is right here. Now my Alice could use replacing. She has some discoloration on the hand. But yeah, these are super hard to find. Something like this is 150. You know, she's around 300. It just depends. I paid $375 for Lynn. Now, when I got her, there was only 2 of these known. Yep. So yeah, there's not very many atom bombs either. Maybe 4 or 5 of these known. So it's going to cost you if you want to collect those. Cool. And let's see what's in here. Okay, so I have some random ones here. Okay, so she has a hole in her head. This is when they injected, molded it. It didn't fill in the head right there. This is my famous camouflage Alice Island. This is not a stain. It was in the mix. This is a factory era camo Alice. What would it cost to buy this from me? Here's one of those stub Alice's where it didn't fill in. It's like a little stub. You see these most commonly in the light reds, but sometimes in the green, and I had that sealed pack. Remember, I didn't quite show you the stub, but it has a stub. Let's finish here, and we're done with the series ones. These are the prototypes. These are Garbage Gang Peach. Well, they're like production examples. I marked the bottom because they are hard to identify, but they're a little lighter. Here, let me take them out and I'll show you. It's a slightly different color. These are both UK peaches, but one of them is the production example given to Jay Lynch. And yeah. And so I have a letter that he wrote that goes over what these are and what they mean. Yeah, so super happy to have those. Yeah, so what this is going to leave us with are rare mannequins, the Series 2s, a huge box of customs and commons, and then I have boxes of cheap toys and other customs that we'll look at, okay? So yeah, you'll have a good rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed this. Russ Van out.